ladies and gentlemen, I am your Destiny Dad, and welcome to your weekly reserve review. I'm a touch late today, so I will have to apologize. Still getting over being sick, and I've had a few hiccups pop up today, things that I had to deal with and handle and whatnot, so touch late, but we're here, and let's see what Xur has brought for us this week. Alrighty. First up for our catalysts, we have the Vigilance Wing Catalyst, as well as the Lord of Wolves Catalyst. Both of these are very, very good. I think the Lord of Wolves is probably the more. I was trying to kind of cover this in the mind of someone who maybe doesn't play as much as I do, which is probably most people who see these videos, or maybe doesn't necessarily sit on 200 strange coins all the time like I do, right? There's a lot of people out there that are buying Xur items week to week, and maybe they don't have time every single week to go and farm coins. Maybe they're not running Grandmasters. It's like 2 days ago, I had 20 strange coins, and I ran like 30 Grandmasters in the last couple days, and now I'm up to 200 again. The average player probably isn't doing that, so I always kind of try and point out, like, if you can only get one thing this week, Lord of Wolves Catalyst 100% hands down. If you have the surplus and you don't have any of these items, it's always good in my opinion to just get all the catalysts that you can, because they can always be changed and they do benefit you, even if it's not a huge benefit, right? But Lord of Wolves is definitely super strong right now, and Vigilance Wing just always stays good. For our exotics this week, we have an Ophidius Spathe. For our hunters, base total of 67 with 16 resilience, 17 recov, and 18 strength. Not a terrible roll, honestly, but some people don't always build 100 mobility on hunter, which is weird to me. I always want 100 mobility on hunter no matter what I'm doing, because your dodge is so important to most hunter builds. But if you're one of those people who wants like 100 resilience, 100 recov, 100 strength on a melee build on your hunter, this piece is probably for you then. Even so, it's easy to get 100 mobility, so it's still a solid piece. I might pass on it personally, but it's definitely a worthwhile pick. For Titans this week, we have Dune Marchers with a base stat of 68, 20 recov, 11 resilience, 17 discipline, 10 strength. Pretty decent. To me, this is a PvP exotic, and I would like those stats aligned a little differently. But if you do not have one that's better than this, your most important stat on Titan is resilience, and that's pretty decent. So, and a lot of people do like having 100 discipline and PvP on Titans. Void needs to go burr. For Warlocks, we have the Prometheum Spur, 66 base stat with 10 mobility, 22 recov, and 24 intellect. Definitely worth. I might actually get those. I don't know that I have a pair that's better than that. Yeah, I am gonna pick myself up a pair of those. This week we have exotic ciphers, which I might also buy as well. It's one of the few materials that I seem to be low on pretty often. And then last but not least, we have Artifice Armor. This is super phenomenal. I've only seen him do this 3 or 4 times maybe since his whole rework. It has been twice recently, but typically this is like not a super common thing. If you don't have any Artifice Armor, definitely get this. Even just having like a class item or a couple class items on each class. I personally have 2 on each class, one for PvP, one for PvE. I know I'm a crackhead, you don't need more than one, but that's just what I do. This is really good to get. Please. If you can only get like one thing this week, I would honestly probably still Lord of Wolves over the Artifice Armor because of how strong Lord of Wolves is right now. But this is like neck and neck with the Lord of Wolves Catalyst, in my opinion. So, that being said, let's check out the strange offers. Obviously, we have the favor as always, the same usual materials, and Gambit engrams. I messed that up. Gambit engrams. There we go. Yeah, some people who want some of the Gambit weapons but don't feel like farming Gambit, you might be interested in picking these up. I would still say just play some Gambit on a week when it's double rewards, and just kind of deal with not being a fan of Gambit, but that's just my 2 cents. Lastly, for the strange gear that we have a Eye of the Stormhawk Moon. An okay roll. It's pretty short. It's pretty short on the range side of things, but the stability and handling are both really high up there. I guess that's a pick your poison kind of thing. I probably wouldn't go for one with that low of range personally, but if you are someone who prefers stability and handling over the range, then it might be for you. Let's see. Crimson, very solid hand cannon, definitely recommend if you don't have it. Merciless, this thing is slept on. It always does really good damage. It's doing crazy damage right now because of the particle reconstruct, but just in general, Merciless is always a good like chew through a champion kind of weapon. It doesn't see too much play, but every time like damage testing comes up, like all the big names, you guys know who you watch for damage testing, Merciless always comes up, and Merciless always is like second, third place. Like it's easily top 5 no matter what the mods are, no matter what's meta. Merciless is just good. If you don't have it, grab it. Thunderlord, same as Merciless. People like to talk garbage on it and make fun of people who like this gun. I will say that personally, I don't find it to be super fun to use personally, but it is very strong. It's gotten reworked to mess with bolt charge now. It also intrinsically stuns overloads. I've done many raids where like start to finish, what are we gonna use on boss DPS? 1 div, 5 Thunderlord, and just I've never wiped doing that on any raid boss. I don't think. Like it's stupid. It shouldn't be as good as it is, but it is actually very good, very strong, very consistent, good at ad clear, good at damage. It's not gonna break the bank for DPS in terms of like, you know, you're not gonna compare this to a sleeper. You're not gonna put this up against a Queen Breaker, but for a casual like left click and never stop kind of play style, definitely very strong, definitely worth a pick if you do not have one already. Now let's check out what we have. We got a Nature of the Beast, Under Pressure, High Impact Reserves, Flared Mag, and Hit Mark with a Handling Masterwork. Problem with this hand cannon is you really need max range for this to make any sense to use. Under Pressure, High Impact, phenomenal roll. But I would pass because of that 30, like the most you're gonna get here is 38. And you're not doing anything with that. Let's see. Oh no, I'm not trying to compare it, I'm just trying to look at it. Okay, let me see, what is the max range? Let's see, Accurist, and then I believe Hit Mark is the Crossfire. So 63 is looking like what the max range can be on this thing. So that's with sure shot sights and accurate range masterwork. So you are 30 range away from your max range. If it was like 50, 55, even 45, 48, 49, somewhere around there, I would recommend getting it because it's actually a really fun hand cannon to use. But this low of a range, I gotta say, just don't do it. It's not gonna be worth the effort. Up next we have Friction Fire, Kinetic SMG, 600 RPM. This is actually a really fun SMG. Sadly, this roll does not look super great. It's a weird mix of PvE, PvP, and I believe that it's just, I think this thing has a place even nowadays, but I don't think it has much of one, and I think there's a lot better roles on it that you can get other than this. Yeah, I would probably pass on this one personally. Although if you do see this in the wild somewhere with a better role than this, definitely keep an eye out. The number, one of my favorite auto rifles of all time. Field Prep, Wellspring. This is almost okay. Again, I'd probably pass. Field Prep on primary weapons makes little to no sense. Even like with the reload speed that you get, it's really not worth the hassle, in my opinion. Up next we have the Vision. Man, I remember when this sidearm came out and broke the game for a minute. We got Surplus and Disruption Break Attack Mag. Honestly, this is actually not a terrible roll of this sidearm if you like these 3-round burst sidearms. In terms of PvE, that is definitely one of the better rolls that you can get, in my opinion. Disruption Break is slept on. I mean, people use it and love it on Arbalest because it's built in, but nobody uses it on guns anymore, even though it's super strong. I definitely would recommend giving this a shot if you're in need of a good energy sidearm. This is actually a really solid choice. Next we have Huscow. We've got Snapshot Sights and we've got Kill Clip. Just immediately no, sadly. Again, I love this rocket launcher with all my heart. There's something about it that just, it's one of my favorite rockets that they've ever had in the game. There's something like goofy about it. It's so dumb that I love it, you know. I don't know how to explain it. But that perk line is just terrible. There's no impact casing, and just, yeah, do not on this one. Up next we have the Blast Batu. I could actually see this going into somebody's PvP loadout. No meme, unironically. I could, yeah, just like straight top row, even with the masterwork. I used to have one of these that I used in PvP a lot. I think mine was Moving Target Rampage, maybe? What was the role that I had? This is way back in the day I used this thing. Yeah, I think mine was Moving Target Rampage. I want to say that I used that getting my Not Forgotten. Or was it No, it was Mountaintop, right? Yeah, it's been so long, I can't remember. But that used to be my PvP GL once upon a time. I wouldn't kill myself to get this role because it's not anything crazy, but if you want a good grenade launcher in PvP, this will definitely do good for you, this role here. Up next for our hunter, we have the Quick Fang with Thresh and One for All. We see this role or something similar very often. A lot of times nowadays you are using a heavy weapon as an ad clear, you're using LMGs, even with like artifact mods currently you're using rockets. I still have a hang up personally about using a heavy weapon as ad clear, and it's still odd to me that I would use a sword for that if I was going to, but if you are someone who wants to and is going to, this would be a good role for you. I would personally pass, but if it fits your playstyle, more power to you. It does have, is that a subjagged edge? Does it not? No. Okay. Tempered edge, probably the better one of these two. They both increase the same amount of impact. And you do have Swordmaster, but I believe that Swordmaster is guaranteed on this one. For our armor, we have the Veiled Tithes set. Interesting. We've got arms with a base stat of 54. No good spikes realistically. I would probably pass. 54 chest piece with 19 recov and 15 discipline. I could see that maybe going into a build if it bumps your spikes correctly, but probably a pass on that one too. Base 50 helmet. Oof, the armor this week is rough. We do have 17 recov and 16 intellect. And last but not least, we got 52 legs with 6, 13, 13, 13, 2. Interesting stat line. Weird blocky spikes. The hunter armor this week is not it. And you guys know me, I will look at some rough armor and say, you know, it could work. None of this looks like it could work realistically to me. As always, I will say though, if you have a build and you need spikes and these pieces provide spikes in your correct slots to get you to triple hundreds or dual 100, dual 70, or even quad hundreds, I'm not gonna judge you. Use that 54 piece of armor and get your triple hundreds, bud. So just keep a lookout. But I believe that is all from Xur this week. Alrighty, now for the Titan this week, we have the Veiled Tithe set as well. We have a 49 arms. This does have 16 resilience and 16 strength. Those are actually decent enough spikes that there might be a play, even though the arms themselves are super low. We've got a 54 chest piece with 13 resilience and 19 strength. Once again, decent enough spikes, there might be a play. We got a 50 helmet with 17 resilience, 12 discipline. I would probably pass on that one, even though the 17 resilience is nice. It's the rest of it is real blocky, and it's only one decent spike. And last but not least, we got some 53 legs with 19 recov and 17 discipline. Actually decent spikes. So where the hunter armor flopped very hard this week, by and large your Titan armor is looking a whole mite better. Let's see if our handy dandy Din will help us out here and let us see what the Warlock stats look like. For the Warlock this week, we also have the Veiled Tithe set. This is, let's see. We got 51 gloves with 14 resilience and 16 intellect. We got a 57 chest piece. Ooh, you've got 28 discipline on that. You have 11 mobility, which is not my favorite. And then you have 7 resilience and 7 recov. That is 30 discipline after a masterwork. 100% recommend picking up that chest piece. If you don't have something better in terms of a piece of armor with like 30 discipline on it, please get that chest piece. That is insane for a stat line. Up next, we have a 51 helmet with 11 recov and 14 discipline. And last but not least, we have 51 boots, 13 resilience, 13 intellect, 6 across the board. Yeah, the Warlock armor is kind of mid outside of that chest piece, which is kind of crazy. For our swords this week on the Warlock, we have Thresh and Flash Counter with no jagged edge. But this is a vortex frame. I could see a play for Thresh and Flash Counter. I probably again wouldn't go for that role, but I could definitely see some people going for it. And then lastly, for our Titan, we have the Crown Splitter. Beautiful roll this week, folks. We've got Jagged Edge, Heavy Guard, Relentless Strikes, and Vorpal Weapon on this sword. If you do not have a God rolled Crown Splitter, please pick one up. This is a perfect roll, one of the best possible rolls slightly better than Vorpal is going, well, not even slightly, a decent amount better, is going to be Surrounded, which this thing can roll, but Vorpal is not a bad perk. It is less potent on heavy weapons nowadays, but it is still a passive damage increase. So, with that being said, big thank you to everybody who's watched thus far. Thank you to everybody who comes out and hangs out with me every week. I super appreciate it. I know I've been a little late lately, and I know I've been missing a few videos here and there. I do apologize. I am still not feeling 100%, but I am definitely a lot better than I was. And yeah, I do believe that that is it. Thank you as always. If you enjoyed the video, do be sure to leave a like. And if you're new around here, or if you just want to stay in the loop for vendor refreshes and hear some hot takes on some perks, and maybe get some information on the math behind how this game specifically works, drop a follow. That's basically all I do here. I am thinking of kind of branching out a little bit and doing some more things, maybe like a weapon deep dive once a week or something like that, to kind of talk about more than just inventory. But I believe that's a discussion for another day. With all that being said though, I've already said thank you, and I will talk to you guys the next time that I talk to you. Have a good weekend, everybody.